If you're anything like me, you've been playing Magic the Gathering for a long time. You've been collecting, you've been buying sealed product, you've been opening sealed product, and a lot of the times it just ends up in a binder, never to be used, never to be touched, never to be seen again, unless for whatever reason you're going and looking for it. You essentially are just hoarding a whole bunch of product with no purpose. You may have no need to ever actually use this product in the future whatsoever. Like a lot of my product, a lot of my cards I've opened, I will never use them. This weekend, I've been going through my binders, finding cards that have been in there for 8 years that have never been used and will never be used and have no purpose in my life. They have no meaning except years ago, there was a secret layer sale and I decided to just go buy something because it was enjoyable and I liked everything at that time. I think there comes a time where everyone should look at their collection, look at what's meaningful, look at actually what's being used, and get rid of everything else that doesn't fit into those buckets. If it's not meaningful to you, if it's not being used by you, if it's not something that you are going to maybe actively trade with somebody else in the near future, if just get rid of it. And so today I just kind of wanted to walk through some of the things that I'm doing right now, all the different types of things I'm getting rid of, and the reason why I'm getting rid of some of them. So for example, I have been purchasing secret layers, essentially almost all of them since they've come out. The past year or so has been a bit more difficult because if you're not in line at like 11:50 a.m. Eastern time, you're probably not getting anything. So over the past year, I've just kind of have stopped doing a lot of that. But just going through some of the things I do have, they have awesome arts, things like this. They look really cool, but I am never going to use any of that. These cards, when were they printed? 2024. So these ones have been in here for 2 years, 2+ years. I haven't even gone back to look at them. They've just been sitting here in this binder. And I think this is one of the more recent things, but I have stuff going all the way back to when Secret Lair first came out. And I don't even play Commander. I play Limited and I play Cubed, and this serves no purpose whatsoever except every so often, every couple months, every few years, I may go and look at it. For example, these have been in the binder, and this is probably the second time I've ever looked at these since they came out. And these came out in 2023. When you have stuff like this, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. Go trade it in. I will never use any of this. Same thing for other types of singles. So I really enjoy opening product. Collector boxes have kind of been my bread and butter since they've come out. I have pretty much stopped doing play boxes or even draft boxes or set boxes since collector boosters have come out. It's a bit more difficult these days, but back in the day when they were more affordable at probably twice the price of a draft box at about $200, maybe a little bit over, it was a lot more doable. These days where they're going at like sometimes 4 to 8 times as much as a draft box or even more than that, it's a bit more difficult. But just even going back to like some things from like Marvel or other stuff or Spider-Man or whatever, I just have so much stuff that I'm never going to use. I'm a limited player who happens to also like opening product. This stuff, I'm taking everything I own, not everything I own, but anything that is not being used or is not special to me, and I'm trading it in. And what I'm going to do with that is what I recommend other people do is you can either go and get things that are meaningful to you, things that you may actually need in decks, maybe like upgrades to cards you have in like a commander deck or whatever deck or a cube or something like that. But don't just sit there and hoard product because it's not going to serve you. And that's kind of one thing that I've realized. I've done this a couple times where I take everything I have and I just go trade it in. Even things like The Hobbit. Some of this stuff is enjoyable. I liked opening it. I'm going to keep some of this stuff like this Bowmasters. I'll probably keep that. Sturge Foil, Arkenstone, I'll probably keep that. The book covers, I'm going to trade all these in. I am going to come back though and collect some of these. Like I want to get a full Sturge Foil collection of the book covers. So like these ones, they're not really doing much for me. Other stuff like that. Again, I don't play Commander. I have no reason to have an Arcane Signet. It doesn't do anything for me whatsoever. Maybe a Mox Amber I would keep, but I don't need it. So essentially what I've done is I've gone through all of my Secret Layer binders. I have, I think, 12 to 13 of them, And I took out all the stuff that I care about or is meaningful or is going to be part of some sort of collection. Like I went through and took out all the Birds of Paradise because I eventually one day I want to have a collection of every Birds of Paradise in English printing. So I already have some of like the more high value ones like serialized stuff like that. But I still need to get like a foil 7th edition one. I may get a foil 7th edition Japanese one as well, just because that's kind of like been a holy grail for a lot, like for a long time. That was like the holy grail of Birds of Paradise. So that's something I may do. But other than that, I'm trading in every single Secret Lair card I have, no matter the value, like a Soul Ring. I don't play Commander. I have no need for a Soul Ring. It's not going to ever do anything for me. But going through and trading essentially everything in, and then whatever I get at that, I'm going to use to actually fill out other parts of my collection that I enjoy. Because being someone who just plays Limited or Cube, even having a large collection in the first place of just random cards is pointless. And I imagine if you're watching this, you probably have a lot of cards that aren't being used and will never be used and have no value to you. Take those, trade them in, and go get something actually useful. But besides, higher end singles or whatever, or just cards you're not using, do the same thing with your bulk. So I have, it's probably going to be too big to go on this camera, but I have so much common and uncommon bulk, foils, whatever, just sitting around. I have, I think, like 14 boxes of this. I don't even know what's in it. I'm never going to use it. You can actually do a lot of interesting things with bulk, or at least stores can. So I'm just going to take all of my common and uncommon bulk down to my store. Whatever they give me for it, they're going to give me. Maybe there's some stuff of value in here. Maybe there's some uncommons or commons that have spiked, but it's not worth my time to go through here and figure that out. So my one of my local game stores, they do like this really interesting commander event where it's you bring a commander of some sort of like dollar value or under, and you basically get to go through the bulk bins and create a commander deck of just whatever in their bulk bins. And you pay like, I don't know, $30, $35, and they have like the little commander tournament. At the end, the winner gets some sort of box and something like that. So you can do something really cool with that. So I'm just going to go down to my local game store, give them all of my bulk going back for, 10 years. And then when they have their next event, there'll be some more interesting things for people to go through. So I have things like a lot of like Ravnica Remastered. So there'll be a lot of like nice mana support for people. But I don't need this. Even if they only give me a few bucks per box, this isn't doing anything for me. So I would really advocate for even things like this, like bulk, like just random bulk, go trade that in. Anything that is not meaningful, is not being used, will not be used, or is not like an active thing that you're going to be using to trade with people. Like if you're not going to trade nights and you have a bunch of stuff and you want to like trade them, just go and get rid of it. Generally, what the price is going to be is most collections, depending on the value of the card, you're going to end up somewhere between 55 to 65% cash value. If the cards are much cheaper, you may get closer to that 50%. If your cards are very valuable, you may get closer to 70% or sometimes even 75% if you have like high value cards that are very easy to flip. So things like revised dual lands, you can get pretty good value for those just because they're desirable, high value, people want them, and a lot of local game stores can take them, buy them, and flip them the same day pretty easily. So even though they might be lower margin, they flip very quickly at high value. So you'll generally get a higher like buy list price for something like that. Otherwise, you could always opt for credit, which some stores they usually get like a 10 to 50% bonus for store credit, just because it kind of works out for everybody. If you're going to take that cash and buy from them anyways, you might as well do store credit just because like you're getting a little bit of extra bonus. And when you take that credit, like let's say I get something $10 cash, they give me an extra 15% store credit. Their markup of their product is already greater than 15% for the most part. So it ends up being a good deal for kind of everyone there. So that's what I would recommend. Take your collections, take your bulk, take everything you're not using, and just consolidate. A smaller collection that is more curated is going to be a lot more meaningful to you and easier to maintain than a larger collection. That is kind of my opinion here, but as I've seen for playing this game for 26, 27 years now, I've never been happy with with a very large collection. I've always been happiest when I have a small curated collection of things that are meaningful to me that I actually enjoy. If you take away anything from this video, stop hoarding. Maybe even stop buying things that you're never ever going to use. Like I've pretty much stopped buying secret layers at this point because they're not interesting to me. The only time right now I'll buy secret layer is if I get a festival in the box, just because they are pretty good value and I'm a limited player, so I get to draft them, which is enjoyable. And they usually come with some other things that you can just kind of just go and trade in to get a little bit of value back. And the cost of those secret layers are generally cheaper than buying the box of something like TCG Player. So it's got great value. You can trade in you can trade in those promos or whatever else comes with it to even, make it a little bit cheaper on yourself, and then you can go and just use that and play with it. You can do a lot. You can take your cards, go trade them in for something more high value if that's your thing as well. But stop hoarding. Have a more curated collection that is actually meaningful to you, or things you're going to use, or things you may want to use in the very near future. But don't just buy stuff, put it in binders, and let it sit. I have things here in binders that I haven't touched in 8 years. So stop hoarding.